What's up guys, Houndish here, and today we're jumping in with some Destiny 2 news and updates. And firstly, of course this weekend we've had the launch of the dungeon, so we'll talk a little bit about the new activity right there, some of the rewards, secrets and more. And then otherwise we'll round up a bunch of updates from Bungie this week. Of course it's been an interesting launch, we had all the drama with the Steam starter pack. And of course as always there are mixed feelings around the season, but at the same time there have been other successes such as the launch of Fireteam Finder, and the stress test for that went really well. So we'll round up some of those things, but also a calendar for content in Season of the Wish, a hidden weapon that we'll be able to get access to in the next couple of weeks. And no, I'm not talking about the upcoming exotic bow. We do also have Iron Banner updates, extra info on the impact of the final shape delay, additional reward unlocks and a bunch of other stuff to round up in the video. So as always guys, I hope you enjoy this one and find it useful, but without further delay, let's get into it. And so as I mentioned, it's been an interesting first week of the season. We had the drama with the dumb Destiny 2 starter pack, which Bungie later removed from the store. Just to point out though, the user populated tags for Steam were pretty funny as shared by Destiny Bulletin, where users populated the terms capitalism, crime, and psychological horror alongside the starter pack, which was kind of amusing. But of course Bungie went ahead and took that down, given the feedback that they got from the community, so that in itself was a positive step. Next up though, of course, the new dungeon dropped this weekend, and that's Warlord's Ruin. I actually think this is a bunch of fun. The theme and the setting for the activity are pretty awesome, and we've got this very medieval castle vibe, which we sort of had little bits of here and there, things like the Iron Temple, but it was nice to have a really big fleshed out and slightly different type of space in Destiny. And rather fittingly, it's filled with traps, both these sort of torture cage type things, but also booby-trapped chests, which are always ready to punish us with spawning Screeb. Encounter-wise though, the normal mode doesn't seem perhaps as difficult as some other dungeons we've had at launch, but the fights are really cool. And encounter-wise, we pretty much get 3 boss fights for the main encounters in the dungeon. And I think especially the second and third bosses are really fun with some neat mechanics, but of course we also get the Buried Bloodline, the exotic sidearm for the dungeon. It's a pretty odd thing, and it double fires tracking bolts where landing bolts leeches health from the target, but also allows multiple final blows with the weapon to grant Devour to the wielder. So it isn't flashy in that respect. Of course it is still a sidearm, so there's a limitation on how powerful the base weapon really is, but being able to grant Devour continuously as well as that health regen, and the ability to pair it up with things like Restoration, but also Woven Mail, Banner of War, and all these other types of buffs, make it a pretty interesting build weapon overall, so I think it's a cool thing. And again, the sort of crossbow theme of the exotic goes in with the dungeon nicely. I haven't spent a ton of time with the legendary weapons, but some of them are pretty neat as well. The non-exotic rocket pistol sidearm is actually from the final shape reveal, so there was a clip where they showed it off, so either Bungie beefed up the showcase by adding it, or they pulled it forward from final shape, not really sure, but it's interesting either way. And another note for the exotic, there is a catalyst quest and a puzzle, which Scarrow has a video for, so I'll link that down below. But for now, let us know your thoughts on the dungeon if you've played it, and of course next week in-game LFG will return in beta form, where I believe players will be able to post and join for this dungeon, so it'll only get easier to access it, and let us know your thoughts down below. Next up though, outside of the dungeon, we do have an early season calendar which Bungie have shared, so of course Warlord's Ruin is launched now, but on December 5th we'll get the Iron Banner for the first time in the season, with the Dawning returning on December 12th, and then Grandmaster Nightfalls kicking off on December 19th. It isn't on the roadmap right here, but also on December 19th, we'll get access to the Wishkeeper exotic bow, so there'll be a new quest launching for that. Then from December 26th, we'll see Crucible Labs with Checkmate Countdown Rush, and Iron Banner will return once again on January 2nd, as well as the 23rd, but in between that on the 16th, we'll get Checkmate Clash in Crucible Labs, and hopefully there'll be a couple of other hidden beats and things like that drop in later on in the season as well. But onto a separate note from the calendar there, on December 12th, of course, we get the Dawning, and as well as the normal seasonal event offerings, we will get a new weapon. So this year, the Dawning gets a glaive, and this is an arc aggressive glaive. It's called Albedo Wing, and in terms of traits, in the first slot, it can get Grave Robber, but also Beacon Rounds, where final blows with the weapon grant your projectiles tracking, and dealing further damage extends the duration, so that's an interesting new perk, and it'll certainly be a curious one to try out on a glaive. But additionally, it can roll Replenishing Gauges, Immovable Object, Keep Away, Clown Cartridge, and Field Prep. Then in the second trait slot, it can roll Golden Tricorn, Demolitionist, Lead from Gold, Deconstruct, as well as Attrition Orbs, High Impact Reserves, and Close to Melee. So a pretty interesting weapon right there. Certainly curious to try out Beacon Rounds and to see which other weapons it may potentially roll on in the future. But the weapon naturally also comes with the Dawning Surprise Origin trait, and rapidly defeating targets awards a Dawning Gift, with defeated powerful targets counting as more than one. So a pretty interesting weapon there, and give us your thoughts about it down below. Otherwise though, Bungie have confirmed that Iron Banner will get more reprised rewards this season. But first, the the new Iron Banner emblem is pretty golden, featuring both wolves and bananas. So Bungie having a bit of fun right there with the Iron Banner emblem. But they've also said, starting on Tuesday, Saladin will begin selling Iron Banner ornaments from years 1 and 2, but additionally the Iron Symmetry set will also return as the base armor for the Iron Banner, with the Iron Companion set moving back to Legacy Focusing. The good news though is that if you want to pick up some of the much older Iron Banner armor from D2, it'll now be available once again, as will a new weapon, which is the Lethal Abundance, a new strand high impact frame auto rifle. And this one's able to roll Discord, Enlightened Action, Keep Away, Dynamic Sway Reduction, Elemental Capacitor, and Slice in the first trait slot. And for Slice, casting your class ability allows the weapon to sever targets on hit for a brief duration, up to a maximum number of targets, which is actually a pretty interesting elemental perk. But additionally, in the second trait slot, the weapon can get Target Lock, Tap the Trigger, Hatchling, Collective Action, and then Onslaught, where final blows with the weapon increase its rate of fire. So that's an older returning perk, but finally it can additionally get Attrition Orbs. So yet another interesting weapon right there for the Iron Banner. And of course we'll get the new Iron Banner game mode called Tribute, and players will be able to deposit crests at Tribute stations to earn points for their team, and banking many crests at once can trigger a hunt phase which activates a special Tribute station and increases the value of all crests deposited for a minute of gloriously chaotic gameplay. But Bungie do say Guardians won't be the only things guarding these high-value Tribute stations, and Keitel will be watching, and so either we'll get Cabal turrets again, or maybe Keitel will simply spawn in and behead the Guardians as they attempt to bank, I don't know. It does however sound like a pretty interesting game mode, so something different for Iron Banner at the very least. And let us know if you plan to jump into Banner on Tuesday when it drops. Some other quick mentions though, later in the season we'll get the new exotic mission, dropping December 19th as we mentioned, and that's where we'll get the Wishkeeper exotic bow, but also there'll be an ornament for this in the Eververse store. It will be a silver only purchase, but in case you're curious, this is what it looks like. And if you do want more details on the exotic mission itself, all of the upgrades for the weapon, since this will be a craftable exotic, I did post a video yesterday that has all of that info, so I'll link that one down below. A few final updates right here though, and Destiny 2 shared that Fireteam Finder's raid stress test has concluded, and of course this happened a couple of days back, but it's certainly one of the successes of this season so far. It actually went pretty smooth. Of course there will have been some minor bugs and glitches and stuff like that, but nothing major happened. The majority of players were able to get into teams. It didn't bring the game down or simply stop working or anything crazy, so actually, credit where credit's due, Bungie did a pretty good job on the Fireteam Finder so far, and they say it will return on December 6th. Plus, during that stress test, they actually opened up all of the activities in the game. It was meant to be simply for raids, but in the last hour or so, they basically launched the entirety of Fireteam Finder to see what would happen. And again, it continued seemingly to work pretty well, so that must be one of our big positives in the season so far. Of course, the experience that players have matching up with random Guardians in raids, varying skill levels, different communication options, all of that stuff, the sort of predictable area of potential trouble with a system like Fireteam Finder did rear its head, but that's one of the reasons that Bungie didn't add matchmaking to raids for a very long time. Obviously, they've sort of changed their stance on that a little bit. And while Bungie, of course, can't moderate the quality of players and the different relationships that will occur inside of those fire teams, they have at least provided the tool to allow players to get into teams in the game. And for now, initially, it seemed to have worked pretty well. So give us your experiences with Fireteam Finder down below. Also in the Twitter a couple of days ago, we did get updates regarding the delay to final shape, and specifically, Bungie have posted a blog article for help info for players who've perhaps had pre-orders cancelled or want to cancel them themselves, or have questions about things like the Collector's Edition, which they confirm will start shipping in March of 2024 despite the delay. So for anyone who has the Collector's Edition, they will be getting it quite a few months early in March. And so that'll be something interesting to explore. I will link the help article regarding the final shape delay down below though. And Destiny Bulletin shared here, there is new Veil containment dialogue this week, and I believe Bungie had said for the first 2 or 3 weeks of Season 23 there would be additional dialogue, so if you followed that up until now and you want to check out the new stuff, be sure to jump into Veil containment. Otherwise though, it appears that there will be a new Lunar New Year celebration bundle in the Eververse store, and last year we got a New Year gift as well, which appears to be in the database once again. I can't say what's inside of it, but clearly Bungie plan to celebrate that to some degree. And a final quick mention here, but especially for Witcher fans, if you fancy unlocking a Witcher themed emblem, separate to the bundles and armor and things like that for sale this season, if you get 100 sword kills and 50 soul and melee kills, you can unlock the Swords and Signs Triumph, which will grant the Witcher themed emblem, so that'll be a useful shout for anyone who fancies picking that up. But otherwise, for today guys, that's what we have to speak about in the news video. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this one, and if you have, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. As always, give us your thoughts on what we've touched on in the video video today. And feel free as well to get subscribed if you want to be kept up to date with Destiny content. Otherwise though, as always, I appreciate you tuning in, and whatever you get up to, I hope you have an awesome day.